It's the motherfucking player haters. Oh, yeah.
Player haters.
Good afternoon, everybody. Coming at you live from the Dobson Casa. Wanted to do this podcast a little early today, off, so let's get into it. In case you guys were wondering, this episode is brought to you by the Magical 8 Ball. Recently, we watched Good Will Hunting, and it just inspired me just 5 minutes ago to say, I cannot predict now. I mean, not that I could predict anything before, but seasons in the past have been somewhat more predictable, if you will. At about this point, we've seen that the matchups kind of right themselves, if you will. And there's also the teams that are kind of, the easy ones, the pushovers, the ones that don't have all the strength and capability. That is not the case. And we've been saying that all year, and it was made very clear that whatever it is that you thought you were predicting about your season is not going to look the way that you think it should. Outlook, likely. That's very true. The outlook for this season is very likely. Yes, I Googled, what were the responses? And by the way, there were 20, if I remember correctly. Did anybody ever, crack one of those open? I still want to do that. I want to buy an 8 ball and then bust that thing open and get those little triangle pieces. Somebody probably sells them. I don't know. I just thought it was cool. I'm a destructive person. Destroy something. Heading into the week that was this week, I had brought up the fact that this is now the second half of our season. And I also brought up the scores from said matchups. And I will, rightfully so, in my opinion, do them justice and reflect, if you will, on the fact that the first week and this week look eerily similar when I start to look at the scores. Ray played Jesus 5-4 there. Hitman played Tortured Baseball 6-4 there. Mikasa Sukasas, Brian 5-6 in favor of Brian. Benchwarmer swinging and missing 6-5. Shane beat Walker 9-1. I beat Mandalorians 10-2. That was week one's results. And again, we bring this up because, we have the matchups that could decidedly cost us a playoff spot if we have such a tight race at the end of the season. And this week, some ships were righted, but not really. Honestly, not really at all, except for the fact that Sean and Jason were able to tie. Ray beat Jesus again. And Brian beat Nick, same score. Benchwarmers, I believe, if I remember correctly, same score that we just said for Eric and Josh. Walker narrowed the margin of loss, but he still lost. And Scott righted the ship in a big way. That was not fun to play Scott last week, I'll tell you. So let's get into it. Week 12, I've already expressed how the matchups went. Briefly touched on their scores, but here we go. Scott he pulled a me from a week ago, and it's so funny how these are never consistent week to week basis. Last week, riding the clouds, and this week, not a damn thing happened. But man, Cal Raleigh is stupid. 10 runs, 5 home runs, 12 RBIs, 2 stolen bases. and a fucking partridge in a pear tree. And that dude just went off. He carried his team, but I mean, he picked up a free Bo Bichette. Javier Baez put up some numbers, and he left some stats on his bench, like Corey Seager hitting home runs, Nathaniel Lowe hitting home runs. I was kind of curious as to why he even picked up Gavin Sheets, and Nathaniel Lowe sitting on his bench and dropping 2 more home runs. But last week, man, Mandalorians came out swinging hard and couldn't catch him in any batting stats by about Wednesday. I mean, it was my average just plummeted. The OBP, I was very just hanging on by a thread. Thank you, Ronald Acuna, for carrying my team and the team that you actually are on, because if not for you, 11 runs, 1 home run, 2 ribbies, and a stolen base. That just goes to show you, 2 ribbies. It's like he has a .421 batting average, and nobody's on when he's hitting. It just, this Braves lineup, I've said it, man. I mean, you sweep the Mets in Atlanta, then you go down to Miami and you only take 1 of the 3. We lose Chris Sale, so now our pitching staff is Spencer Strider, Spencer Schwellenbach, and granted, we lost Chris Sale last year too, but we barely made the playoffs. It literally took us the last game in Miami of last year with Grant Holmes, which, again, crazy to think he was the only person who won this week in Miami. And the last year, Ray and I went to the game that Grant Holmes pitched, and we won, so we made the playoffs. Razor thin, but I don't foresee it happening. And now this week we go into New York and play the Mets. Nope. That place, I mean, and then I think we play the Phillies too. Yeah, no. This is going to be a bad week to be a Braves fan. Avert your eyes. Watch something else. Some trades were made, and we'll talk about those in a minute too. But yeah, so Scott, man, just Walker had pointed it out last week, and I want to give Walker credit because, Walker deserves all the credit in the world for being who he is and how well he performs on a week-to-week basis. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and do it now. Walker, I see you in the chat. Congratulations, you have beat me already. You have beat me, not me saying this to you and trying to Dobson or Croft or whatever the term or phrase is. You have said that I will be taking the position of 9th, which is where you hold real estate right now, which is fine. So congratulations on your win. Here's my hand. Nope, I don't think so. Fuck off. Anyways, so yeah, Scott, man, like Walker had said, he's got a really good roster. You look at, he's probably got the best baseball player right now in Cal Raleigh. We know that Aaron Judge is who he is, but he's kind of tapered off. But that boy just, like I said, went stupid. And it wasn't against bad offenses either, or bad pitchers. Geez, man, it's good. I don't want to look at those numbers anymore. But yeah, between Cal Raleigh, Ketel Marte, Manny Machado, Corey Seager, when he's healthy, Stephen Kwan, Dansby Swanson, Bo Bichette. It's got plenty of shortstops. If you need one, reach out. When Matt Chapman comes back, Nathaniel Lowe just quietly there. And then he's got a pretty decent pitching staff with, guys like Shane Smith. Even though he had a bad week, he's got some really good relief pitchers in Will Vest, Josh Hader, Merrill Kelly's. I wouldn't put a lot of stock in Zach Gallen carrying him, but he's got one of the best pitchers in baseball in Tariq Skubal. And when Tyler Mahle comes back, and he's also got Yu Darvish. There's a name that we have not talked about at all. Wow. Good old Yu Darvish. But yeah, Scott, 7-4 victory there, righted the ship. Now the difference between him and I goes to me. But again, cannot predict now. Trippin' Billies and Rally Monkeys. Yeah, going at it. And Shane said, not in my house, but these two exchanged blows. 11 home runs tied these two gentlemen. And yeah, Yandy Diaz, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. picking up some steam. He went back to his butt buddy and Brandon Nimmo, Jose Altuve, just looking beautiful on your roster. And Helio Ramos. just looking beautiful there. I know that Walker's put it out there, Helio's on the trade block, but, yeah, look at Christian Yelich. He had one big day. Juan Soto's back to being Juan Soto. Now Shane can sleep a little bit easier at night. And, yeah, he goes out there, picks up Marcus Semien, and look at what Marcus does for him. Not big stats last week, but he's been more, rosterable than he was before, for sure. And again, I don't know. Sure, be glad you got Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher. I love how, too, it's like all these other pitchers in the landscape of the pitcher world in the MLB, and I get a highlight from Yahoo Sports just highlighting that Shohei is back. 1 inning, 2 strikeouts against the Washington Nationals. Wow. Shohei. I mean, dude, the next thing we're going to get a report on is he walked on the shoreline and some water brushed up against his feet, because apparently that too is immaculate. It's beautiful to be a Shohei Ohtani, in parentheses, pitcher owner, apparently, because you get all the accolades. I mean, wow. Here it is. Even with these Yahoo dickwads, Ohtani threw a perfect inning with 2 strikeouts and went 2 for 4. It's like, don't report on what he did as the batter if you're going to have him sitting over there as the pitcher. You leave the batting stats alone, sir. The owner of the pitcher, Shohei Ohtani, does not get the credit for what he did at the plate. Thank you very much. Lord have mercy. Can't wait for the next Shohei Ohtani update. Another 1 inning, got himself, what the fuck ever. Get out of here with that bullshit. Again, I'm just saying it to the fact that it's like, stop suckling at this fucking dude's dick. 1 inning of work, get the fuck out of here. Do something more, impressive and write a better story. Jesus, look at what Mizorowski's doing. Talk about that shit. So he's a two-way player. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Jack Caglione should be a two-way player, in my opinion. And that's not even been a topic for whatever reason. Did y'all see what that dude did in college? Okay? My gosh. Let's go. Benchwarmers took down Eric 6-5, but this became a very interesting matchup. If Eric had hit 1 home run, if he had just hit 1, and I know what he's fixing to say. If I did not trade away Jose Pena or Jeremy Pena, he would have got it. Trust me, because if I had not traded away people, I would have probably had a little bit of a better score and not been so tight, and probably not in the bottom had I not traded people away. So don't give me your shit, okay? But yes, you traded me Jeremy Pena. He hit me a home run, and you could have benefited from it. So there's breaking news. But there you go. But don't be bitching at me too. You got to get some pitchers, and you know that. But whatever. A couple of weeks ago, you had cousins of Jesus's, pitching staff over there. They were perfect. And now where are they? Exactly. Moving on. Nick took another L from Brian. Brian taking him down, man. Yeah, Nick's got some firepower in the home run department. But Brian said, hey, I'll take the other batting stats. You'll tie in stolen bases, but this was a good matchup. Very tight or very good numbers for Nick in the pitching department. 79 Ks, 1.55 ERA, 0.98 on the whip, 7 quality starts. That will work itself every week, but he did not take wins and he did not take save plus holds, and Brian was able to take a 6-5 score. So Nick just hanging out there. He loses, but stays in first place. So that's always fun. Sean and Jason, they exchanged pleasantries by saying, you take 5, I'll take 5, and then we'll leave 2 on the table. 2 being, oddly enough, 2 wins and 2 stolen bases, respectfully, between these 2 guys. And yeah, pretty solid outing between the 2. Very, very tight in the whole standings. It could have went anybody's way. Sean lost by 2 home runs, and Jason lost by 6 strikeouts. And again, Jason had a little bit of a complaint, so we have to, acknowledge that 10 strikeouts was left on his bench. And yes, shit happens. You go to the movies, you forget to check your roster, or you check your roster and something happens. I don't know. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if a player was picked up, but yeah, that sucks, man. I don't remember who it was that you left on the bench. Was it Luis Ortiz? Freddie Peralta? Yep, Luis Ortiz against the Athletics. 10 strikeouts. That would have definitely won you the week for sure. You would have won the tie and wins, and you would have won the strikeouts, and you might have lowered your ERA and maybe your whip. So that score, though it's a tie, it is definitely a blemish on Jason's season because, this is where we are. And this thing is, like I stated, cannot predict. So, cannot predict now. Yeah. Rayford Beaches took down Jesus again. The slow fall for Jesus. Ray just went stupid this week with home runs, RBIs. And I mean, she went up against a very strong batting team in Jesus. I mean, he threw up 12 home runs of himself. Will Smith went stupid with 3 home runs. Pete Crow Armstrong just continues to say to Casey, what an idiot. How about James Wood? And now she also has CJ Abrams. So when CJ gets on base, the likelihood of that being just a nice little stat column for her, it'd be a run, potentially an RBI. It looks nice. It's all good things, But yeah, he carried her team for sure last week. Andy Pages too, just quietly doing crazy things. One of the better players right now on that Dodger offense. Just, Freddie Freeman's been kind of quiet. Shohei's been quiet. Mookie's been quiet. It's been the Muncy Pages story for sure. And the Will Smith, sorry. Got to mention Will Smith. So when those guys actually all start firing on all cylinders, then that will be back to one of the worst lineups in baseball to have to face as a pitcher. But until now, we just get Shohei Ohtani 1 innings pitched, 2 strikeouts worth of dialogue. The other players don't really matter. Moving on to week 13, lucky number 13, and it's going to be lucky for Walker. No need to even report the fact that we're down here at the consolation prize. He's in 9th, I'm in 7th, and again, cheers to Walker. We'll move on to a little family feud here. Shane will face off against Sean. Shane looking to hold on and to move up even further in the rankings. This will be a good matchup right here. Probably the matchup of the week. Well, we have 2 teams that are actually in the top 6 to face off, but Benchwarmers will face off against Nick. This is going to be a good one because these 2 boys have very balanced rosters. So look for Nick to not contribute in any form or fashion into the chat, and Josh to bitch while Nick beats, or not beats him, but puts up stats throughout the week. And of course, the weekend, Josh will be rapidly texting away in the chat room about how abysmal his team gets during the weekends. So Scott will look to continue his terror on the Dobson household because he faces Ray. Ray, on the other hand, I did not think that she ended up being 12 based off of the standings. Somebody must have done something to keep her down there. I think it was actually Jesus just taking away a couple of the points that she had going into Sunday night. But anyways, she did actually put, some distance. She closed the gap, if you will, between her and the Hitman and Eric. Jason will face off against Eric. Eric's looking to try to get out of 10th place. He's, made a few roster changes, and he's doing what he can to try to get out of 10th. And Brian will face off against Jesus. This is the other top 6 matchup that we have this week. So we got teams that are looking to hold off the consolation prize and the championship chasers, and then we've got 2 that are in the championship and looking to both maintain their position and not fall out of favor. But again, it's week 13, and that means we've already faced these rosters before, so I'd like to give a week 2 update, reminder, if you will. And of course, I'll recover it again next week. So in that matchup between myself and Walker, again, he beat me 7-3, and that will happen again this week. So kudos to Walker. Shane beat his brother Sean 6-3. Benchwarmers lost to Nick 8-3 in that one. Scott beat Ray 8-3 in that one. Jason destroyed Eric 12-0 in that matchup. And Brian lost to Jesus 4-7. Those were your week 2 matchups. So again, we're facing those same teams again this week in week 13. Well, I wanted to mention this before I get out of here. I have said this before and I will say it again. I am very interested in doing a Dynasty Keeper League. If you guys are interested in doing it, I might as well just go ahead and create it myself. It's not like I'm, unaware of how to create a fantasy baseball dynasty league. And if I at least get, I would say 6 to 8 people that are interested, I'll put it together and send everybody out the invite, and we can actually do a mid-season draft. I think that much I will have to research, but I'm pretty sure if I set it up to be a dynasty, we can actually set it up. So the rules are different. The way to play is different. And, I can figure some way to go about it. I know that money is always a interesting incentive for people, but, I don't like reaching into other people's pockets and doing that. So that's why we created the Franklin in the first place. It's just a trophy. So again, if you guys are interested and you want to talk about, being a part of the league, let me know. Everyone is invited. Everyone watching this video and everyone a part of this league, you're all invited. So if you guys want to just switch over and do a dynasty as well, because I feel like the strategy and the approach, and if I'm the commissioner, I'm not going to care about your moves. Again, I've stated it, and I know that this is a thing. It's just strategy. It's how you guys play. But I was dead ass last 4 weeks ago in a money league. No moves limit. I am now in the top 5. No, I'm in the top 4. I have beaten the best 3 teams because I am monitoring pitchers and able to pick people up. I feel like that the whole word of fantasy is not to be limited to what you can and cannot do in the world of fantasy. I get it. This is the league. This is how you guys set it up. And you guys, in my opinion, would probably hate somebody like me in a no moves limit. But in the world of baseball, there are no limits. You're limited not even in your playoffs. Like, you're allowed to make moves. Hell, there's even the addition of picking up people that are free out there in the world. We've seen this all the time. You want to be competitive. And I get that 60 is an amount, but it's a daily fantasy baseball league. It's not weekly. It's not like you pick up at the start of your week and you set your roster and forget it. You have to do this daily. You daily want to have somebody that maybe is coming up to do a spot start like Michael McCreevy, and you can't roster more than one NA player. And you're limited by what you're able to do with your roster. You want to compete. You want to win. That's why we're in this. So my reflection of how I have always done my roster of making 60 moves, I don't understand why this is so hard to, like, if you were to tell me that I'm in the outlier in suggesting that, well, the moves is actually more relevant in all these other leagues than not, well, then prove it. But again, it's fantasy. We all have fantasies, and not just in baseball. Why would I limit myself to just the bare minimum of what I would be able to do in a fantasy? Hello, when you're building a house, and, Shane, you're one of the people that have done this. You have these visions of what you can do. Now, yeah, you're limited by your resources and all that stuff, but you get what I'm saying. When you play a video game like Minecraft, again, it's a foolish example, but I'm trying to say we're playing fantasy here. But the reality is that the fucking, like, look at the Dodgers, man. If they were being hindered by the limitations of their roster, they'd be in some real big fucking trouble. They've had a lot of people like go down due to injury. Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, but they're able to pick somebody else up and move on amicably. I've got to keep trading away the only pieces that I have to do something, and I'm trying to also compete and win. That's why I make all the moves that I do. And I also get a little frustrated about the players. Anyways, I went on a soapbox. I'm fine with the whatever. I understand the rules. I'm just saying, if you come with me to my Dynasty League, no moves, baby. And it makes it, in my opinion, even more of a there's strategy in that, because you've got to start watching minor league players. Hell, you might even want to watch like some college baseball. God, it is hot in this corner, I swear. Anyways, that's all I want to talk about. Just do a little plug there, see the interest level, and yeah, we recapped last week. We're looking ahead this week. No need for me to even, I'll just set my roster and forget it. You know what I'm saying, Walker? You've already won. But have fun, people. Have a good week. Week 13. Ooh, spooky. Was that it? You got anything, Ray? She doesn't have anything.
It's the mother